Hello, I got an old Allagash beer, Golden Brett. Didn't know it was 5.5 years old when I got it. Right there, it says bottled July 1st, 2015. I haven't had this one before, but it sounds right up my alley. Brett forward beer, finished fermentation in a big oak foudre. Lightly hopped and they dry hopped with a Simcoe prior to bottling. We'll see if there's any of that anymore. I probably would like to try this fresh. It's 7.7%, so a little strong. It's interesting they call it golden because they use a little bit of I guess they say dark golden color, but I think they advertise it as using some Victory malt, which is dark, 2-row and red wheat. Oh, and it's fermented exclusively with their house strain Brett, which I like a lot, but they don't really. They use it sparingly. They have released some really Brett forward beers over the years, but people don't go crazy for them. And no gushing at all. This has been sitting in my fridge for several days, but you expect Allagash to know how to package things really well. So let's see what happens. Yeah, not crazy carbon billowing head like some aged Brett beers. They're quite well controlled. I'm smelling some funk. I guess the question will be, is there old hop flavor? Is there oxidation at this age? That's pretty golden, I'd say. Looks a lot like wannabe hazy IPAs these days. Interesting that it does have a little haze. There might be some chunks on the bottom or sediment, but I didn't quite get there yet. Head looks nice. Active popping. Ooh, yeah. Wow. That smells like pineapple champagne. It's not really huge on the funk, not big barnyard. That's what I find with some of these Brett beers, is that it gets funky and funky and funky and then turns into just pure fruit, like when I've had really aged Orvals. But it probably depends on how it's stored and with the batch and everything. But yeah, it's got a little bit almost of a cherry thing going on, but lots of peach and pineapple. Maybe a hint of a bitter fruitiness, like grapefruit or guava. Yeah, there's a very, very light hint of acidity. Maybe there'll be a touch of vinegar. That smells very nice. Yeah, a bit dustier on the palate. Yeah, a little bit of oxidation. Maybe it's no, it's like straight up oxidation, I guess. Maybe the hops are helping to bring it up more. And I'm not. There's some funky vinegary note to it, but it's not really making it sour. It gets much earthier and leafier on the palate, whereas the nose, well, it's still pretty fruity. It's not bone dry. I still feel like there's sweetness. Maybe it's just because the flavors are sweet. And there's a little bit of body left, but it is 7.7. And it's very cold, but I'm getting plenty of flavors out of it. And now I'm noticing, I guess there's some maltiness. But the funkiness is not scary. Just a little bit of an acidic bite in the throat. But most people would not necessarily categorize this as a sour. Not that that's even a category. Yeah, I would like to try this super fresh. It's cool that it's in such good shape, especially with the aroma. I'm not getting any skunkiness, which is a good thing. But it's definitely got some age on it for sure. This is one of the oldest beers I've had in a while. I'll have to say that I had like a 4.5-year-old Oxbow beer that was much lower alcohol, like half the alcohol content of this. And I feel like that one was in bitter shape, but that one's not hoppy at all. It's probably kind of dry hopped beers probably get oxidation more quickly, but I still haven't had a 5.5-year-old Orval, so maybe that'll have it. But this is kind of an interesting, like, it's basically like an Allagash take on an Orval, except that I believe the primary fermentation of Orval is a regular clean Belgian yeast that they use at Orval to make a Belgian pale ale, and then it's dry hopped and then bottle conditioned with Brettanomyces. So you're only getting Brett after the bottling. I think that's what I've read. And this one, I guess, is kind of a similar process, but it only uses Brettanomyces. So I'm not getting any of those Belgian esters. This is kind of a hard beer to categorize. And for a rating, it's probably going downhill, but it still deserves a 4, at least. Really, really cool, well-made beer. This is the exact sort of thing that I like to blend with fresh beers, fresh saison, or wheat beer, or things like that, to make it perfect. So yeah, get this one old and get it fresh. I don't really know if there are fresh bottles. I think there are, but I don't know. This is like the last one on the shelf where I got it, and I didn't even know it was that old. But that's it. Bye bye.